Hi, I'm Danesha Seth Carley, and I lead North Carolina's IPM Extension Program with the great and awesome support of Ryan Adams, our Extension Associate, as well as a great number of Extension professionals whom I will talk about throughout the course of the presentation. This is essentially a small snapshot of the work that we've done over the last 3 years for the Crop Protection and Pest Management EIP program. Agriculture is big in North Carolina. It is our #1 industry. And you can see here in 2023, farm receipts were over $6.8 billion, which is the 9th highest nationally, which might not sound like something to someone from Florida or California, but ag is huge in North Carolina and it's very important to us. We are #1 in sweet potato production, and we have been since 1976. That's almost 50 years if you're doing the math in your head. We're #2 in hogs and pigs and trout turkeys, #3 in fresh market strawberries and cucumbers, and the list goes on and on. North Carolina has over 90 commodities grown and sold on the regional, national, and international markets. So as I mentioned before, agriculture is huge here in North Carolina. And as you can imagine, IPM does a lot of heavy lifting in North Carolina. And unfortunately, we have a relatively small budget. So we work very hard with what we have and what we've been given to assure all of our stakeholders in North Carolina feel supported. From blueberries to poultry and everything in between. For the last 3 years, we've focused on 3 EIP focus areas. Those include extension agent training, IPM delivery, and pollinator stewardship and conservation. I'm going to walk through a little bit of each of these programs just to give you a taste of what we've done. #1 is extension agent training, as I mentioned. And our goal here was to develop extension agent trainings and resources to help our extension professionals become effective communicators of IPM strategies, build their confidence in knowledge of IPM strategies, and foster trust and credibility in 3 specific areas. And those are the areas that we focused on, and that is in agronomic crops, specialty crops, and aquatic environments. One training that we hold annually is the Extension Master Gardener College. I mentioned pollinator conservation, and that's the area that I spend most of my time in. And I spoke at the 2022 Extension Master Gardener College, which is the one that's highlighted here. The theme of this particular conference was gardening in a changing climate. We offered 15 hours of research-based continuing education, and topics covered climate changes anticipated in North Carolina over the next 5 to 20 years, plant selection for challenging landscapes and climate conditions, climate-ready landscape design practices, and preserving and protecting pollinators. In order to be effective, our Extension Master Gardener volunteers must be aware of the research-based resources available to them, and of course, stay up to date on current research and emerging issues. The Master Gardener College provides them opportunities to increase their knowledge and confidence, which we hope encourages them and allows them more confidence in their role as volunteer educators. The goal, of course, is that they take back what they learned to their communities, share it with community members through their volunteer work, and many of them don't get IPM-focused trainings throughout the year. So it's really important when we work with them, we talk to them about not only the topics at hand, but weave in a conversation about IPM-focused trainings and how they can use it to provide their communities with information about IPM for their landscapes, and of course, how they can use those strategies to help with pollinator protection and conservation, but also additional ideas for effective pest management in those systems. You can see here, like any good extension program, we did a pre and post survey. Here, 99% intend to adopt at least one new practice, and 100% of the participants felt that they would be more effective extension volunteers post Master Gardener College participation. So those are all pretty great numbers. We also hold what's called the Plants, Pests, and Pathogens webinar series with presentations given by a variety of experts that provide extension professionals and Master Gardener volunteers online access so that they can continue their education to increase their knowledge of current and emerging pest issues and other horticultural issues. Since August of 2021, we have held 27 plants, pests, and pathogens webinars, which have provided extension professionals and Master Gardener volunteers with over 40 hours of online continuing education. Part of the Plant These Instead series of talks helps North Carolinians grow healthier, more environmentally responsible landscapes by avoiding problem-prone species and planting more resilient varieties instead. We stress that pest-prone or invasive species should not be planted and offer non-native as well as native alternatives to those plants. Total attendance for the live webinars was over 4,400, and recordings have received over 10,000 views. Benefits reported by participants include increased knowledge of insect pests and plant diseases, improved insect and plant disease diagnostic skills, and increased confidence to serve as an effective extension communicator. Another online resource that we talk about every time we give talks or presentations is something called the North Carolina Extension Gardener Plant Toolbox. I tend to shorten that to just the Plant Toolbox for obvious reasons. It's an online searchable database with almost 5,000 plant profiles, including, of course, many, many photos, descriptions of the plants, and specific information about each plant. Here's just an example of one of the pages, in this case, wild columbine, Equilegia canadensis. And you can see that the plants are beautifully presented. There's lots of information. Insects, diseases, and other problems is clearly articulated on the webpage, so you don't have to dig to find it. There are sometimes videos of the plants in its natural environment. And, the primary goal of this entire toolbox is to help people select plants that not only bring them joy, but provide valuable function in their landscape and thrive where planted. We are guided by the principle, right plant, right place. Users are encouraged to consider year-round functionality and potential pest problems as part of their plant selection process. I mentioned earlier that we also provide training in agronomic crops. In this case, we did a number of IPM-based trainings that focused on both grain and cotton production. Row crops are incredibly important in North Carolina, and the goal of these trainings was to provide extension agents knowledge about integrated pest management in corn and cotton production systems so that they could become better IPM communicators and educators and go back into their communities and help them and producers increase crop productivity and, of course, household incomes in North Carolina. In addition to the in-person trainings that we hold, we also have 10 training videos that are published on the North Carolina State Extension YouTube channel. A unique training that we did the last couple years was UAV, or unmanned aerial vehicle training for agents both in peanut and other agronomic crops. And the goal is to aid in stakeholder comfort and understanding of how UAVs can be used in farming operations. Through a crossover program between agent training and pollinator education, we do extensive youth programming, train the teacher or train the trainer, and extension agent training in pollinator health, which allows us to reach literally hundreds of community members and students with pollinator protection and conservation information while we weave our integrated pest management strategies throughout those conversations. We held recently 15 in-person workshops, reaching almost 1,000 participants. We developed additional online resources to support those agents and professionals post-workshop, and also have something we call the Emergency Response Program, which focuses on butterfly rearing programs in 230 classrooms, meaning that we reached almost 4,600. That's a funny way of saying that, sorry. 4,600 youth through that program. Our second focus area was enhancing IPM delivery back into our communities, into our stakeholders, so that extension agents and our community members will become more knowledgeable about IPM and develop skill sets to adopt and implement sound integrated pest management strategies wherever they are. I mentioned specialty crops was a focus. To that end, we have developed a series of videos how to diagnose common tomato diseases. Unfortunately, only 50% of extension agents have more than 3 years experience, meaning that 50% of our agents are almost brand new. And they report that they need in-field rapid disease diagnostics and better tools to help them spot issues in floriculture crops and, in this case, tomato crops. We published 8 YouTube videos on identification of common tomato diseases. And you can see it's had over 25,000 views and is publicly available through different news sources. We publish it, fact sheets, and the North Carolina Vegetable Portal. The link is here on this slide if you're interested. We also did in-person agent trainings in 2023, whereby 13 agents gained skills in both insect and disease management on common vegetable crops. We also have a guide. I say here in the slide that it's published. Hopefully by the time you're viewing this, you can see that it has been published. At the time of recording, this has been accepted for publication, but with minor revisions. And this is entitled A Diagnostic Guide for Phytophthora Species Affecting Floriculture Crops. Again, pre and post surveys, 95% of respondents reported the videos helped them identify or rule out diseases in tomato fields. And folks really enjoyed the hands-on diagnostic portion of identification using microscopes and magnifying glasses while in the field or in the lab. Here's just a little taste of what we've done. You can see we do in-person trainings. Images are very clear images from the diagnostic guide. These are in floriculture crops, and then the video series, how to diagnose tomato diseases. A perennially well-attended workshop is our IPM for aquatic systems. And in addition to in-person workshops, we've also recorded a series of 4 mini videos or vignettes and uploaded these also to the Aquatic Plant Management YouTube channel here at North Carolina. And the vignettes were focused on topics of algae identification, novel herbicide application technology for aquatic plants, point intercept survey methods, herbicide application equipment, et cetera, et cetera. You can see the different topics here. We've had over 6,500 views, and this number is a little bit out of date at the time of recording because I didn't go back and double check. But this is, again, a very well-attended program. And in addition to the in-person workshops, we have also made all these different training modules available online. Our third focus area is pollinator stewardship and conservation, and how integrated pest management strategies can help protect pollinators in our landscapes and fields and anywhere our community members need it. We've done this through a series of pollinator garden demonstrations, field days, talks, and trainings, as well as this pilot certificate, which I'm going to talk about in just a moment. Excuse me. Over the course of the last 3 years, Ryan and I have given a number of presentations to extension master gardeners, beekeeper associations, garden clubs, at field days, for student groups, anyone who reaches out and is interested in learning more about pollinators. Ryan and I are always happy to meet them where they are, especially if it's outside and not on a little black box in my office. Loosely, we've reached over 2,500 participants, which doesn't include the data from the last series of talks that we've held during June, during Pollinator Month here in 2024. So that number is going to be a little higher than what you see here. I also published a book in 2021, which is available on Amazon if you're interested. And we published peer-reviewed papers, as well as developing and deploying a number of hands-on activities and resources for teachers to use in their classrooms. We go in, we teach the activities, we work with students, and then give the resources to the teacher to then take those activities and use them in the future. One of our most recent activities involved 2 6-foot-tall inflatable yard dice. And unfortunately, we were too busy laughing about the activity to take any photos because it was really something special. I don't know that we'll deploy that again in the future. Just inflating one of the dice was incredibly time consuming. So that might not be a perennial, but it was definitely a favorite when we deployed it this last month. We also do pollinator habitat demonstrations and trainings in those gardens. We engage students in hands-on learning, allowing them to literally get their hands dirty while planting plants for demonstration gardens. Or in some cases, they have if the weather's poor, we'll let them plant sunflowers or marigolds to take home with them. And we recently just launched a new initiative for community members to apply for a pollinator habitat certification. And again, we just launched it this summer. We have 12 pilot participants who are brave souls helping us develop this program. The program goals are to educate, encourage, and empower participants to add pollinator habitat to their landscapes and share their knowledge with others, sort of similar to the Extension Master Gardener approach to community engagement. We hope to expand this program in the new cycle of EIP, which starts in September. Of course, it takes a village to do this type of program, and I cannot do it alone. I have help from a tremendous group of people, and I would like to just mention them very briefly because I could not do this entire program by myself, as I said. So Ryan, my extension associate, Lucy Bradley, Inga Meadows, Rob Richardson, Dominic Reisig, Wayne Bueller, Steve Frank, Ramon Leon, and Liz Driscoll also helped me put all these amazing programs together. And last but not least, our work was supported by the Crop Protection and Pest Management Grant. The grant number is here. And so thank you to NIFA for the funding. And we would love to see funding for IPM programs across the nation increase in the future. Thanks very much for your time. And I hope that you didn't fall asleep.